Hey power users, so today we will be looking at really complex, but I think I can manage to explain you how to do it, the application with multi-level approvals. So let me start, and for the first time I want to go with you through this application, through each screen, and then we will be looking at what this application really does from the inside. So if we are starting, we are selecting the region, then the country based on the selection from the first dropdown. Then we are selecting our main shop in which we will be approving our orders. And we go to the new order. So the order appeared, it's order number 40. And in here we have all the products we can order from, let's say, our wholesaler or something like this. And this product order should be approved by people which we are having here. So let me choose some quantities over there. And our total quantity is 1718. And based on the thresholds we are having, the threshold is 50, 100, and 200. We have 3 approvers which will need to approve the application in the later screen. So let me finish the order now as an approver. Sorry, as an person who orders. And let's go to the summary. In the summary, I have items which I've already ordered with the quantity above 0. Don't look at those are my technical fields. And we have approval section. And in this approval section, as a person who creates the order, I can send email to those people and approve or decline based on user email which is set there. So if my current logged user email is this one, then I can approve or decline. And if not, I cannot do such thing. So only user which will log in our application with the email as same as the email in this field can approve and decline application. This is my email, so I can do it. Let me do it now. I can approve this application. And its decision was made. The approval is made, and when I gather the 3 approvals, I can do whatever I want. You can do whatever you want in your application, but the point is to gather those approvals from the users, sending them emails. So this send email is creating the iteration of Power Automate flow, which send email to the user with the link to this specific application and this screen only, based on the order we made. So this is the overview of the application. And now I will just go through the steps of this application, and I hope this will be self-explanatory after this. So stay with me, we'll do this whole application from the inside. So what we have here, at first we can look at the screen main, in which we have the region, the country, and the shop selection, as well as the new order creation button. So at first we have only this dropdown available with the regions, which is the table in our Dataverse. And then, based on this selection, we are filtering the countries, which is also a table in the Dataverse, where the GUID of our region is same as GUID of a region which was selected just above. So how does it look? If I select the first EMEA region, Then the name of this region will find after the dot the GUID of this region, and we will only select the countries of which the EMEA is selected as a lookup, because this is the lookup field. The region is a lookup field on the countries table. Same is just below. When we are selecting the shops from the shops table, we are filtering this table based on country, which is a lookup again. So country is a record. And from this record, after the dot, I want to select the GUID, which is same as the drop-down selected GUID. See, this is also highlighting the answer. This is the GUID. This is the GUID. And based on this, I want to click the New Order button. And what's in the New Order button? I want to, of course, to navigate to next screen and patch my orders. The orders is the table in which I will keep the orders with the new, this is the defaults for, with the new order. And I want to gather all the information I've already stored. So the region will be same as the one the user selects from the drop-down, same for the country, and same for the shop. The order number will be the existing order number of the order plus 1. So if my order is 13, I will just create the order 14. I will stop right there. This is just the simplest application, so I want to have the simple solution. But if you want to dive deeply into this, you will have to go with the auto number function. And order by is my applicant. So I will just go to the user table and find my user, which is already in the app. The users open and close parentheses .email is the current logged user in our application. So from those users, I want to find the user with the same primary email. And when I have this user, I can assign the ordered by to this user. And order name, I just did not care about this. Let's go with the date. So this will be, the order name will be the actual date, so I can easily find this in the database. And that's not all, because this is a very important step. I want to set the var this order to the order I've just created. And that's all on the first screen. Okay, so after the first screen is done, I don't want to rush to the second screen. I want to first of all to talk about the database and what we have in the database. I've prepared the simplest solution. So for now, we are selecting the region, the country, and the shop, and we are patching this information, creating our order. And actually, for the shop entity, we have approval levels attached. And what does it mean? Those approval levels have their threshold, and based on this threshold, which you already saw in the second screen, we are comparing this threshold with the sum of the total order, and if the sum is above the threshold, we are creating the order approval with the user which needs to approve per order. How does it look in the database? Let's go to the database. And in the database, I have order, which stores our information, our orders. And those orders will have attached information: country, order number, the region, the shop, course, and then I have our approval levels. And those approval levels have the lookup of their own. To the shop. So the shop is the entity which is having the lookup. How does it look? We have 3 approval levels, and each of those levels have approver, which is basically the email of the person which will need to approve. The approval full name, just for information. The name, which is really not important in this case. The level of the approval, because we have different levels with different thresholds. We want to specify them. And also the thresholds for those. So all those approvals are connected to the shop entity. And this is our entity. They are connected to the shop. So if I will open this entity, I can see that in the related section, I have approval levels. I don't want to create the view for them. I've already told you how this look. And when I select the shop, all the approvals levels will be attached and will be connected to our application. So this is how based on these approval levels, we will create the order approvals with basically the same information, which then can have the decision made. So how does it look? The order approvals will be the entity created from the approval level with the same information, but also with the decision. And this decision will be approved or declined based on the user choice. And also, this entity will be linked to the order. Can you see it? Those are the orders I've already created. And this order have related order lines, which is the board, which are the board games which we already created, and related order approvals. So we have 3 approvers with the approver emails, their level, and for those approvers, we can send the email so they could approve. This email, in our example, will be set manually, but we can also automate this when, for example, the first approval will approve the decision. Then Power Automate can, based on some kind of flag in our record, can then send email to the next approver. But for now, this is the simple process. After we will see that decision is made, we will just send email to the next approver and so on. And after those approvers will approve our decisions, then we end the process. Simple as that. Okay, so now let's talk about the second screen. And the second screen, we are basically interested in the bottom part of the screen, but let me tell you something about the items. So in here I can choose the quantity, and based on this quantity, the sum is calculated. It's just a simple multiplication, the euro cost, which is the price, multiplied by the value from the text of this text input. So what I have entered and the text part of this input will be then changed to the value. So this will be the number type. And I can then create our total sum. The total sum will be just the sum of gallery of items from the label sum. This is the label sum. So this will just sum all the labels in our gallery. And when this total is created, the magic happened. The approvals are visible to the user. And how this is happening? This is happening on change of this text input. We are creating the collection. In this collection, we are adding the index, which will be basically the levels of the approvals. And we will be sorting those approvals based on the index. And I've created the threshold with the dot and the scope after the dot, because we have the floating number point in our database, and I want this to have the same floating point as well without redoing it. And there is a delegation warning here, but we shouldn't be bothered by this delegation. In your app, you can just create the threshold and all other values in the floating point number. So we will avoid this kind of delegation. This is just an example. So we want to check is if the value is lower than the value of total sum and text. So we are gathering the approval levels, their threshold, and just comparing it to the value of total sum. And if the threshold is lower, then we will add the approval level. So we also specified that our shop GUID, based on the dot, the shop is the GUID of our selected shop, is the same as the variable disorder shop. I know it sounds terrible, but this order shop is the shop connected to our order variable, which is same as our order, and we are taking its GUID. Again, as you can see, the GUID, which is this number, is already in place. Then we want to create the index of those approvers, and we are using the switch level for this. We are switching on this record level. If the level is shop, then the index is 1. If the level is country, then the index is 2. And if the level is region, then index is 3, because we are creating the 3 levels approval. So let me show you again how this is working. Nothing happens. No threshold was needed. No approval will be needed. Now the magic happened. The collections is created with the thresholds and with all the levels. We have approver taken from the approval levels. But if this is the simplest solution, you can also have in the approval level the other fields connected to the approval level, for example, the approval users, which will be different entity if you want more complex solutions. And if you want to have more than one approval on each level, then you can take those approvers from those levels as well. And in the finish order, what we have here. So we are creating the order lines, which are the lines in our order with the created, how do you call it? The goods. Let's call those the goods. So each of those lines will have their order line if value of this record quantity is larger than 0. For 0, we don't want to store all the 0 parts in our order. So only if the quantity of units is above the 0, then we will create the order lines. And basically we are using aliases to remember, instead of this record, what we are referencing to. The sum, the units, the name, the item price, which is the cost in the euro, and the order, which is the lookup for our order. This will be important in the next screen. And also we will be creating the order approvals, which is another table in our database. This is different from the approval levels, but we are adding the same data, plus we are attaching the order to this approval level, and we are attaching the index. This is self-explanatory. The name is not interested for us. Also, in the order approvals, there will be a column for the decision. And then we are navigating to the last screen, which will come next. And basically, last screen will be just mostly informative part of our app. Let's go to finish the order. This is the finished order, and what you can see there, you can see the items and approvals. Those items are just already created order lines for our order, which is same as the var disorder order, because we are keeping still the variable from the first screen. Then this is why we see the order lines correctly. And another thing is approvals based on the same concept. We are having the order approvals in which our order, this changed to technical name because I've already messed up the schema and was changing it after I've created this application. So this power app automatically changes to the technical name. But this is the order table and the GUID for order table, which is same as our variable with the disorder and its GUID. As you see, this is the GUID again. We have also additional information here. We have two things. First, we have the approve and the decline buttons. And these approve and decline buttons will be only visible to person who is same as the user email. My email is the same, that's why I'm seeing this line, but not those lines. Those lines are invisible for me. And what is in the approver part? In the visible part, we will just check if this item approval email is same as the user which is logged and his email. The user function with the parenthesis and the dot email will check what's the email of the currently logged user. And this will be visible. This visibility will be set to true if this condition is met, and to false if it's not met. But how I can inform the users now that the application is needed? In this simple solution, we are using the manual approach. The applicant can send an email to them, and the visibility of this button is also set to the applicant, the lower which will make all the letters small. We are lookupping for the user's table when the user, which is the GUID, is same as GUID of ordered by user. As you can remember, we set the ordered by to our emails at the start, and we are comparing the primary emails. So we are comparing this with user email of the logged user, which is it's the same concept as in the approver buttons. But for some reasons, I don't remember what was the reason, the capital letters are different from each of those emails. So to double check, I just use the lower function to make those emails the same, and the same concept, true or false. So I can send this email only if I am the person who made the order, and I'm gathering approvals. And in this email, in the on select part, we are running the Power Automate flow, which will run based on the GUID of our order and approval email. So it will take 2 arguments, go with the flow, and change those arguments to create the result. And the result will be email sent to the this item approver. So for this email, in the same line, with the order number, and this order number will, this email will have also the link, and the link, when it will be opened, it will open on exactly same page with the var this order, same as the var which we pass in the Power Automate flow. How this happens? For this, we will be using the app start section of our application. And in here, we are navigating to main screen. If the parameter which we are passing in the link, the parameter name order number, is not blank, so it's there, we will be setting the var disorder, which we remember this is the same, still same variable. And we will go with the lookup, we will check the orders, and the order will be saved as our param order number. We use the GUID function to keep the same schema of the parameters, because otherwise, let me just bring it down, the equation won't happen, because GUIDs can be only compared to other GUIDs. This is GUID, so it needs the GUID on the other side. So I'm changing the standard string, which will be the order number, because those parameters will be in the strings. Changing it to the GUID, and then we can compare it. This will work. So let me show you how this works. With the Alt button, I want to send the email to myself. My Outlook is temporarily damaged, so we will go to the flow part of our application to check if the flow worked. This may take a while. Sometimes take minutes to load the flow. Okay, and sometimes take 2 tries. So the flow is simple. We are passing the arguments, this order variable, which, as you remember, was the first argument of our flow, the user email, which was the second argument, and we are creating the link to the application. the link will be the standard link of our application plus another argument, which is the order number, the first argument we passed to the flow. And this will be our link. This link will be sent then in the email body to the second argument of the flow, which was the email. And I'm using also the subject, please approve order number. And I'm using the GUIDs. I should use the order number from the orders. This is just informational video, so we can adjust this later. I will copy this link. I will show you how this works. The link is correct. We are seeing the application now. Normally I will use the spinner for this, because as you see, those buttons before the visible part loaded, we could see all the buttons. But actually we should see just this one, because we are the approvers for this level. And if we hit approve button, then our application will be approved. This is based on onSelect. We are patching our order approval for this line. This, as you see, order approvals is the GUID for our orders, and this will need to be the same as the GUID of this item, this record. And we are patching the decision to approved. This is the syntax which you need to remember. This is how we patch the decisions. So we have the decision on the left side, which is column in our database, and the decision, which is the global decision dot. This is the value of decision. So we want to value it with approved. If you want the double quotes and just approved, it won't work, because this is the option choice type of data, and in quotes you have the string, so the comparison won't happen. The data type must be the same. So if I approve, then the applicant can select and send email to another approver. We can also, with the push of approver or decline button, create another flow which will inform the applicant that the next email should be sent, or just by approving this button, we will then send the Power Automate to with the next line to the next approver. We can send this email automatically. So this is more advanced concept in which I will talk about in the later videos. So this is all. This is how this approval can be made just inside the Power Apps without the standard approval process with the Power Automate flow. We are using the flow just as a supplementary solution, but we are still inside our Canvas app. How this was helpful, and if it was, you can just write a comment or send the like or subscribe. And if you are having any question, also please write a comment. I should answer them daily, so then you'll get your answer if you're concerned about anything. Thank you. Have a good day or good night, depending on your time zone, and see you.